Hi guys, Squirrel here, and I'm back with some more Space Engineers. Right, I thought today we'd go through a little bit more advanced stuff, shall we say. So I'm going to start off with something quite straightforward. The square bracket keys. Next to your enter key, you've got the open square bracket, close square bracket. If you press those keys, you can see on the screen it cycles through the various colours. The game allows you to paint your blocks, okay? So if I select blue and then I press G and go new small ship, that's my core. And if you notice, it builds a standard core. If I hover over that, you can see my blocks are now in blue. However, I can paint. So if I click down the middle mouse button, I should say, you'll notice that I've now painted my core block. Now that can be handy to know which is your core block. So I'll leave that one with you. For now, I'm not particularly bothered, so I'm going to hold down the control key and I'm just going to build some blocks like this. As you can see, all nice and blue. And the other thing to mention is if you right click, that will delete a block, like so. And I have shown you that before, that if you drag or hold shift, then you can, hold control and then shift, you can drag out entire areas. So what happens when you change color? Well, if I cycle through some more colors, let's go with white for example, and then I middle click, I can paint one click at a time. I can also do the same thing with the control key. I can drag and paint entire areas. So you very quickly, you can see how you can either paint your ship as you go along. So, you know, if I change color now to perhaps yellow and then put some more blocks down, you know, I can do it this way, or afterwards, if you change your mind, you can come along and go, you know what, I fancy a bit of yellow striping down the middle of my wonderful creation, and you can touch it up later on. So, your choice, okay? So that's one thing to note, is how to paint blocks. And that actually comes in useful later when you want to do some special stuff, which I'll show you later on. Now then, one thing to be aware of is this creation here, I have to be careful I don't bump into it, because if I bump into it, what's going to happen is it's going to start to move depending on the weight. Now, bearing in mind that I, have a certain mass, it now has a certain mass. If I bump into it, there's every chance I could set it off into motion. As you can now see, I'm not moving. Honest. It's kind of hard to see whether you're moving in space or not, but you can see it is now in a free fall momentum, if you like, obeying Newton's laws. This thing now moves and spins because it's not being acted on by any forces. There's no gravity to bring it down to Earth as such. So it's just going to basically fly away. How can we prevent this? Well, we have these things called stabilizers. And if you press the G key, they're known as gyroscopes. Now what a gyroscope will do, think of it as a small onboard computer that will, if you like, stop your creation, whatever it is, a small spaceship or a large spaceship, whatever it happens to be. It will stop it from spinning. So if we was to drop one of those on there now by pressing number 5, because I've got it mapped to my 5 key, and if we put one on, as you can see, nothing happens. And the reason nothing happens is because it needs power. And power is provided by reactors. As you can see, you've got a small reactor here and a large reactor here. I've got the reactor mapped to the 3 key, so I'll press 3 on my toolbar. And if I drop a reactor on there now, did you notice the difference? It's not spinning anymore. It's still moving, but it's not spinning. What the gyroscope is able to do is stop the body from spinning around. However, it can't stop it from moving through space, because this thing is currently, if I spin myself around here, it has a right to left velocity. It can't stop that. The reason it can't stop that is because there's no thrusters on this thing. So if I press number 4 and I orient a thruster in the right way, like that, it will now turn that thruster on just enough to stop it moving from right to left as we look at it on the screen. Now the problem is, of course, if we sit still, it is actually moving ever so slightly in one of the directions. We can't predict which one it's moving in. There are 6 different directions in which this thing could move. As we look at it, we've got left to right, up and down, and in and out, if you like. So in order to stop this thing from moving completely, what we would have to do is put a left to right thruster on, and then we'd have to put a thruster in these directions, like so, and then finally a thruster pointing up and a thruster pointing down. Can't actually see what I'm doing because my head is in the way. If I press the V key, I'll go first person. That's often easier when you're building anyway. Like that. Now, this little creation is now totally stable in space. You can see, if I sit still, it's not moving, it's not spinning, it's not going in any direction. If I was to hit this thing now, take a run up, boom, you can see it move, and then the gyroscope operates the thrusters and stops it from moving. So before you have actually kitted up your creation with thrusters and a gyroscope and some power, on a small ship certainly you're more than able to knock this thing away, and you'll find yourself having to quickly build on it while it's still moving, and that can be a bit of a problem. So beware of that. Try to get down your energy, your reactor and your gyroscope and some thrusters. Try to get that down as quickly as you can in your creation, just to avoid that from happening. This doesn't really apply when you're building large ships. If we go over here and press the G key and I press a new large ship, because of the mass of this thing, even just with one block, if I was to jetpack into it, he says missing it completely. If I was to jetpack into it, you can see it's not moving, because the mass of this is great enough that I don't really have much of an effect on it. You know, think of it like Newton's cradle with the steel balls. Only I'm a very, very small ball and it's a very big ball, and when I hit it, it is actually going to be moving in some direction, but it's not really noticeable. And as you build more blocks onto this thing, which I shall do now, you get to a point very quickly where you're not realistically able to affect its velocity. So this only really happens with the smaller ships. When you're building the small ships, you need to be very careful that you don't knock into them as you're building before you've actually stabilized the thing. Okay, so that is one of my tips, or advanced tips for you to learn. Let's look at something else now. Right then, let's start building something interesting. I'm going to start off with a new large ship, which is going to start my core off. Let's press the tab key, and then let's change to blue, because blue looks nice. Let's paint that blue before we start. There we go. Right, I'm going to build out from there. Now, how far am I going to build? I want, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 that way. And I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 that way. And let's drop down. That means that is 9 blocks wide. So starting with 1 there, I want another 8 this way. Going to make a square, obviously. Another 8 that way, and then another 7, and that makes a lovely pretty square. Yay! Right, now I want to build across the across the middle, and the same in that direction, like so, and then that direction like so. Right. First thing is this. If we take away these squares here, like that, that is now a separate, in quotes, ship. It's detached from that one. It is in effect a root cube, as if we just clicked on create new. The only difference, of course, is that this one is in a perfect position right in the middle of that square, and that will become very handy, as you will see later. So first of all, I'm going to build all the way down here like that. Ooh, look how dark it is. Actually, what if we turn upside down? Doesn't really matter in space. Should we make that the new up? As soon as this side is a bit more lit. Might as well. It's one thing you can do in space is decide which way you want up to be. So I think it's quite cool. Speaking of up, let's bring it two things. The small reactor, which is this one, and this one here, which is the gravity generator. So press 3, which is what I've got hotkeyed to a small reactor, and then 6, I've got hotkeyed to a gravity generator. Watch bottom right there, watch the gravity. Boom, as I put it down. Suddenly we've got gravity, which means if we go over here and press X to kill the jetpack, we can now walk around, which can be quite handy when you're constructing things. It can make it a little bit easier. I'm going to put the jetpack on for a minute, and I'm going to thicken out this structure here. Now I can't build this diagonal piece, I have to build like that first, and then I can build that one. Every block has to be connected to another block when you're building, which is why you need to start off with a root square for every creation that you build. If you've already got blocks, you don't need to start a new one, you can just build on what you've already got. And of course, as I've just shown you, you can just detach, separate two structures, separate one structure into two if you want to. You can do that as well. Just going to build all the way around here. There we go. Looking good. And then finally, I'm going to build another row like this. And around this side as well. Unlike Minecraft creation mode, in Minecraft creation mode, you can just kind of fly around. In this thing, you're a little guy in a jetpack, which means you don't just fly around. When you stop thrusting, you carry on for a little while until your spacesuit stabilizer stops you from moving. There we go. Look at that shadow being cast. That's so cool. Right, now then, let's press 8, and we've got these little half cube pieces. And they're really nice for rounding things off like that. I'm going to use those on the outside as well as the inside. Like that. And we'll make this, what is otherwise square thing, look a lot more circular just by doing this. Like so. Right, now let's round the inner piece off as well. To orient myself properly. Oops. There we go. We'll do that one while we're here. Spin around. This is the trickier part, like I say. Because at least in Minecraft you're only ever dealing in side to side in turning movement. Gravity's always present in Minecraft. Whereas in this thing, you suddenly find yourself not really understanding which way is up. Which is why there's a gravity symbol down there. Right, let's press X, turn the gravity off for a second. Have a look what we've done. Do you notice the texture is blue, but it's got this kind of... If you look at that, there's like bits missing. It's all very kind of rustic. I think that's a really nice touch. It looks weathered. It looks weather-beaten in space. It's not just a nice, clean, crisp thing. And I like that. I think that's really cool. Now, what I'm going to do is... Press G. Notice you've got two kinds of lights. You've got the reflector light and the interior light. I think the reflector light you can only use on large space stations, not actually on ships, I think. Whereas the interior light you can use on ships as well. So I'm going to press 7 and we're going to put some nice lighting effects in here. Now nothing's going to happen because there's nothing to power them. Let's press V and go first person a second. But we shall sort that out in a second. One there, and one there. Press my jetpack on and jump down and do underneath. That's the inside lighting, but you know, we can't forget the outside, can we? If you're going to view this thing from a distance, lighting always makes things look cool. There are 4 lights on each outside. So that's one in the corners here. on the centre, and we had one on either side like that. There's the nearest star over there. Hesitate to call it the sun because it clearly isn't the sun. The sun is our star. But I have no idea where we are. In an asteroid belt by the look of it. Right, and then of course I think we should be only fair to put some lights on this thing on the outside there just to make it look nice and finished in the corners. And make sure we get the centre, which I think is there, and the corners here, and then back in the centre. Cool. Some nice lighting. And in the interest of space symmetry, sometimes think this game should be called Space Symmetry rather than Space Engineers. Let's get one in the middle, and the middle is about there, I think. About there. Nearly done with the lights. And we just got one. Whoops, a daisy. I just turned the jetpack off. Unfortunately, the C key and the X key are right next to each other. So I find myself pressing the X key sometimes when I actually wanted to press the C key. Right, I think that's the lighting done. So, in order to get the lights to turn on, we need power. And we've already seen the power reactors, which is number 3 key. But I don't want to spoil the beauty of this thing by building them on the outside or the inside. So I'm actually going to take away some cubes and put them inside the structure itself. And again, in the interest of symmetry, I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to put them here. So I'm going to press the number 3 key, right click, and then left click. Bang! The lights come on. Hey! But in order to make this thing perfectly balanced, I'm going to put 4 of them in the exact same position all around this thing, because I want it to be wonderfully balanced like that. Now, we've already seen the Gyro Stabilizers, and this is no exception. We need those in here as well, so we'll press the number 5 key, and we shall delete that cube there. And we're going to stabilize this thing. Now, you may wonder why the hell we're going to stabilize this thing, because it's very heavy. It probably won't move anyway. Well, it shall become apparent why in a second. Cool. That's that bit done. Okay, so before we just carry on, I'm going to build over here. I'm just going to build out from this thing. So we are actually upside down, aren't we? In real terms, from what we decided was up. There we go, the lit side. Let's build out like this, and then we'll build some pieces like so. Which is cool. And what I want to do is I want to make this thing look like it's cut out. It's almost got a groove. So if I build into here like that, and then another one like this, these half blocks allow you to make some surprisingly interesting shapes. So we want that one that way, and then that one that way. And around this side, there's that block there, so we want that block here, like so. You see, it kind of looks like it's got its own little groove there. That's wrong. Which makes it look quite cool. And then I think we'll build 1, 2, 3, 5 like that. And then like so. I love the way my little shadow of my man is is there because the sun or the star light is behind us. Shadows, very important. Like that. Cool. Now then. Right, what was all that about? Why did we do that? Let's have a look. Let's drop down here. Let's get right under here. Now, we are going to have to sacrifice a light. One of these lights will do. Right here. This is really important if you're going to build this creation, okay? What I'm going to do is, I'm going to get rid of that block. Like so. I'm going to put a normal block back. And then I'm going to build a cockpit. Now, the cockpit, which is this thing, has to be pointing the right way. And by that, I mean like this. Okay, so it needs to be pointing in the same direction as the ring is going, like that. So orient it and point it the right way. And click. Press 0 to empty your hands. Now, the next stage is absolutely crucial, and I strongly suggest that you save the game before you even attempt to do this, just in case it goes horribly wrong. Because if it does go horribly wrong, there's no recovering from it. What you need to do is save it, remember. Then you'll press the T key while you're looking at your terminal there. When you press the T key, I want you to take your hand off the mouse completely. Okay? Take your hand off the mouse and then press the T key. That is now put you... You're now flying, in quotes, this ring here. Now, I'm not looking at the mouse and I'm not touching the mouse. I'm using the cursor keys now. I'm going to press down on the cursor key. Okay, and that's going to start the thing rotating. If I let go, it will stop rotating. If I press up, it will go the other way. They're the only keys I'm pressing. If I press anything else or use the mouse, I'm in danger of causing this thing to turn in another direction, and this is the only direction I want it to turn, up and down. Okay, so I'm going to hold down the down key like this, and while I'm holding down the down key, and it's up to you how quickly you want to do this. If I hold it down fully, that's full speed, but you can just start it off quite slowly, get it to whatever speed you want it to go, and then press the K key. When it's roughly at the speed you want it to go, press the K key. Let's do that again, yeah? I'm going to press down, and when it gets to the speed I want it to go, I'm going to press K. Now, you'll notice this is the terminal, okay? This is the control panel, K for control panel. These are the objects on that ship. You see the 4 reactors we put in there, the lights that we put a bunch of lights, and the 4 gyroscopes. So, you may be wondering where the gravity generator is. Well, the gravity generator is on the other ship. It's not on this ship. The ship we're now in is the Circle. The energy, the reactor and the gravity generator are on the other ship, the platform. So they're not showing in here. So these are the 4 gyroscopes on our current ship. Now we can turn them off. What happens if we turn them off? Well, if you remember, the gyroscopes are responsible for stabilizing the ship, so they will attempt to stop it from moving however they can. We haven't got thrusters, so they can't stop it moving laterally, that's X, Y and Z through space, but the gyroscopes can stop it rotating, so they will do their best to stop it from spinning. We've turned them off, which means it's going to make no attempt to stop the spin that we just put on. Okay, as you can see, it's now spinning. It's in a free-form spin. If we press K and put them back on again, okay, and then close it, it comes to a halt. So if it wasn't going at the right speed you wanted, that's your opportunity to change it. So what you need to do is just get it going up to the speed that you want it to go, and then press K, turn the gyroscopes off, like so. Press T when you're ready to get out of the terminal. Move your guy away from the ship, and lo and behold, you've got yourself a free spinning craft, which looks beautiful with the lights on. Lights make everything cool. And you can see I actually added some lights down the side here. And of course, I used our painting techniques to paint down the middle. Put a nice arrow on there. But I've cut that bit out in order to keep the video shorter, because we know how to paint. So what did we learn out of all of this? Well, we learned about half blocks, which are these triangles. You can rotate them with the insert, delete, home, end, page up, page down keys. That will rotate them in the 3 axes. We learnt about power generators, which are these. And, ooh, press T on that. What happens? Nothing. So I just sort of light up when I move to it. Power generators generate power, transmit it through any connected blocks. The gravity generator, which applies gravity to the current ship. The more of these you have, the bigger your gravity field will be. And gravity is always indicated when you press the tab key. It's always indicated bottom right, which way gravity is going. You choose gravity, you choose which direction you want it to go. We learnt about gyroscopes. Now gyroscopes, as we know, will stop rotation of the current craft. They stop the rotation in any direction. They're able to do that. In order to stop translation, which is movement in any of the X, Y, and Z directions, you need to have thrusters. It will use the thrusters to, if you like, apply an opposing force to the direction in order to bring the object to a halt. If you don't have thrusters pointing in all 6 directions, then it won't be able to do its job properly. We also learnt about the cockpit and the fact that if you get in the cockpit by pressing T, you can rotate the craft. Press K will bring up the console, turn the gyroscopes off, and that will stop it from stabilizing the craft. In this case, it's this ring, and the ring is now in a freeform spin. Quite a bit, I'd say. That is some of the advanced stuff. Oh, and finally we learnt about lights and other good stuff like that. Quite a bit, I would say. Hopefully you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and if you're enjoying Space Engineers, my little videos, leave comments and let me know what kinds of things you would like me to build. Have you got any suggestions? And I don't say, you know, the usual stuff of build Star Trek ship or build a Millennium Falcon. Everybody's done that. I'm talking about interesting creations. Is there anything that you think I should build or try to do in this game? Bear in mind that quite a few of the components are still disabled and it is under development. If so, leave me a comment and let me know. Take care, guys, and I shall see you soon.